Hello. As
Hello.
been said, I'm Arina from Tomsk State University team of International Venus Research Group, and today I will present to you my mapping of Thiamon's lava flows on Beta Regio. Next slide, please. Thiamon's locates in Beta Regio, which is one of the major mantle plume centers on Venus, and is part of Beta Atla Themis region. Here is my volcano in the black box. Next slide, please. Topography here shows the clear edifice associated with Beta Regio, and here we can see a radiating swarm. These features are consistent with the mantle plume origin of Beta Regio. Here in the red square are Thiamon's volcano. Next slide, please. For mapping, we use Magellan SAR data. These images have 100 meter per pixel resolution and clearly reveal lava flows and all of the structures. Here is the picture of Thiamon's volcano and nearest structures. Click, please. Here we can see the Divana Chasma, northern and southern parts of it, and Arina Chasma. Next slide, please. I want to notice that this volcano with all of the flow units has an area about France back on Earth. It's a very big volcano. Next slide, please. Here you can see the main goals of Thiamon's mapping. It's identifying the sources for all of the mapped flow units. It's integrating the emplacement of lava flows with graben system emplacement and central caldera collapse, characterizing the relationship with triple junction rifting, developing a comprehensive geological history of Thiamon's and integrating this history with the estimated flow units to characterize the release of gases and provide constraints of evolution of Beta Regio plume. Next slide, please. Here you can see a topographic profile across Thiamon's. Since Venus is a very flat planet, this profile is exaggerated in 100 times. Natural relief of the volcano is well showed in the lower profile, which has exaggeration only in 15 times. You can see that the caldera is collapsed. Its depth is about 3 kilometers, and the volcanic edifice is about 400 kilometers. Next slide, please. Here you can see a map of lava flow units. For the moment, C is for caldera, and red dots are marking the small shield volcanoes across the Thiamon's. For mapping, we divided the volcano into 4 sectors on eastern, southern, northern, and western parts. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah, it's caldera and shield volcanoes. Next slide, please. Starting with eastern sector, here we can see a great number of lava flow generations. Near the caldera, we have identified at least 4 of the generations. You can see colored in red near the caldera is the oldest flow group of the volcanic edifice. Then the biggest group is in yellow, and the youngest groups are in green and in blue. Group marked in blue is interesting because it not goes from the caldera, it goes from the parasitic vent. and well, it's the youngest group here. Flows here on the east are going from the caldera for more than 700 kilometers. Next slide, please. Here on the south, the lava flows are highly disrupted by the southern Divana-Kazma rifting, but we have identified at least two lava generations here on in pink and in orange. And we have found some talus, sedimentary talus units near the rift walls. Click, please. Yeah. Here you can see these units are associated with rift walls with catastrophic changes in topography. Next slide, please. On the west, we have one big generation of lava flows that can be not one big generation, because you can see in light green there are a small group that kind of sorry. It kind of differs from the other flows, but still can be a part of the main flow group. And here we have some pits and pit chains that are marking the dikes underlaid by them. Click, please. Yeah, here is the picture of one of the clearly visible pit chains, and here on the western sector there are much more of them. Next slide, please. Northern sector is an interesting one because flows near the caldera are well are southern from the caldera, but here deep in the north, flows that are marked in green lines are not correspond with the direction of flowing from the central caldera. Next slide, please. You can see now the volcano zoomed out. Click 2 or 3 times until all of the yes, and again. Thank you. Here, yellow arrows are showing that these flows are going in radial directions from the caldera. Orange arrows are flows that are not clearly correspond with the central caldera of Thiamons, but their direction can be explained by the changes of the topography. But arrows that are red, they show no connection between the central caldera, and they cannot be explained by the topography. So we assume that there can be old caldera or maybe graben system that was the source for these flows, that these flows can be not from the central caldera of Thiamons, which we can see now. Next slide, please. Again, can you please click 3 or 4 times? Yes. Yeah, it's the parasitic cone, which I was talking earlier. Next. 2 times more. Yes, yes. Here you can see all of the sources of lava. The biggest one is, of course, central caldera. Also, we have this parasitic cone on the east side of the volcano. We have grabens as sources of lava flows, and we probably have this old caldera or I don't really, I can't say much about it for now, because we haven't identified it yet. It was just this strange direction of flows and everything. Next slide, please. We can maybe identify this salt caldera by mapping a radiating swarms of dikes and grabens. But for now, we have only this map of graben systems on the east and the south of the volcano, and mapping all of the graben systems of Thiamons is one of the goals for future work. Next slide, please. So, in conclusion, Thiamont has many generations of lava flows that are going very that have length more than 700 kilometers. Sometimes on the east, we have maybe up to 4 different lava flow sources, and disturbance of lava flows on the north and south sectors proves that Divana-Katma rifting is younger than most of the Thiamon's lavas. Next slide, please. Future work includes analyzing all of the relative edges of Thiamon's lava flows and mapping the graben systems, which can help us in identifying the probably old caldera or proof that there was no such thing as old caldera. Next slide, please. Yes, thank you for your attention. You can contact me or ask some questions.